The seventh way that people discover the work that they were born to do is through what I call their lost and neglected dreams. Now, what do I mean by that? I think many of us, when we're young, we know what we'd love to do. You know, if I'm honest, I knew when I was a kid I would love to do what I'm doing today, but I allowed myself to get talked out of it, and I talked myself out of it. And I think that's often what happens for many people is, you know, when they're younger, they have a real sense of the work that they would love to do when they grow up and how they want to be in the world. But we get so, you know, taken out sometimes by our parents' expectations or society's conditioning, or we get humiliated or criticised for the things that we do, or we're told we could never make a living out of doing that, that we end up neglecting the things that we know we'd love to do. So I think sometimes we have to go back and, you know, sometimes go back to our childhood and say, well, what did I love doing when I was 8 years old? What did I love doing when I was 10 or 12? What are the things that I loved then? And are they relevant to me as an adult? Is that something that I've neglected and that I need to re-own? And I find with a lot of coaching clients, that's exactly where, you know, their passions lie, is in something that they neglected quite a time ago. For example, I was coaching a woman who lived in Monaco, and she worked in financial services, and she wasn't particularly happy doing it. And I said to her, what did you love doing as a kid? She said, I love fashion. She said, you know, I'd often come home from school as a teenager and I'd make a dress to go out in the evening. And I thought, wow, how amazing. You obviously had a talent for it and a passion for it. You know, when was the last time you made any clothes? And she's in her 40s, and I think she said, I think when I was 15 was the last time she'd done that. And we delved, and, you know, her mum had criticised her and told her off and said, why are you wasting your time? You know, you shouldn't be doing this, you should be studying, or you should just go out and buy your clothes, you shouldn't be making them yourself. So I said, you know, would you, by the time we have our next coaching conversation, make a blouse? And she was now in her 40s, and she had two, you know, daughters of her own. And she said, well, I don't know, I'll see what I can do. And by the next time we spoke a couple of weeks later, she had made the blouse, you know, for the first time in 30 years. And it was really poignant for her. And she said, you know, I was crying while I was doing it because I realised, you know, I loved doing this as a teenager and I had let it go. So I think, you know, that to me was a wonderful example of how we do let our dreams go, but we can then re-own them. And that one thing for her led her off in a whole new direction in her life, where she did give up financial services and moved into fashion and started doing, you know, work with fashion and helping people with wardrobe and making her own clothes. But she had to go back to that neglected dream of hers that she'd you know, let go of as a teenager, and a talent of hers that she just hadn't utilised for 30 years. So I think for many of us, you know, it's quite poignant to go back to childhood, and sometimes can even be quite painful to do that. But if we have the courage to do it and re-own that part of ourselves that we let go, you know, there's great energy that comes back for us in our life today, and we become more alive and we become more passionate, and that's what we would love to do, and then we can move forward with that in our life.